Alhamdulillah, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very big welcome to ICT204 Project Management. My name is Fadi Kutub. I am very excited to be here with you. I'm very excited to be guiding you in my tutorial. So are my colleagues who basically will do their best to be able to go and support you throughout the whole session. So we're going to talk about a number of topics today. We're going to talk about your outline. We're going to talk about your assignment. We're going to talk about some questions. And all that I would like to do is basically be paying a lot of attention to whatever I'm basically saying today, and making sure in every single tutorial that you guys are attending your tutorial on a regular basis. I can assure you that if you're coming to the classes on a regular basis, if you do your tasks on time, you will make it very, very easy for you to be able to go and possibly get a very good outcome in this subject. So keep up the good work, come every week, and we will do our best to be able to go and help you out. What I want to start with is I would like to start by talking about the subject outline. The most important thing you need to know is the subject outline. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the subject outline really makes it clear for you what are the requirements from you throughout the actual session. So we're going to go and talk about the key aspects relating to what you need to go and be doing. You know, when do you have a quiz? When do you have an assignment due? All of this information that is really, really essential. I will make it clear for you from now is it is crucial that you actually attend your tutorial next week. And the reason why is because there is a quiz that is going to go and actually be happening. So there's a week 3 quiz, and that quiz basically go and it is worth 5%. And there are questions we are going to go and be giving you. And these questions are, things you will be able to go and answer if you are actually coming to the classes, if you are paying attention. And from our end, we will basically be very happy to answer any of the questions you guys are having. There is obviously an assignment 2 details that are available on Moodle. We're also going to go through a lot of that and discuss things further. But to start, what I would like to go and do is I would like to go and start by going to the Moodle site. And I made the Moodle site kind of show up as a student sort of version. In other words, what do you guys see at the moment in front of you? Well, obviously, there's a subject outline you see. There's information about the coordinators and your tutors and the subject, and you can see all of them really available here. You'll be able to go and see things relating to your assessment. So week 3, we have a quiz that is due. Week 6, we have an assignment that is due. Week 11, we have an assignment that is due. And week 11, we also have another quiz that is actually due and that we need to go and really bear in mind. And obviously there is a final exam that you guys will need to go and be bearing in mind. So you can see a summary of all of these assignments: quiz A, group case study based on what we call the project management body of knowledge, and group case study utilizing agile project management. So all of this basically is available and presented to you there. We go down, you can see there are some quizzes. Obviously, if you click on them now, you cannot actually do it because it won't open now. It's actually going to be opening in week 3, 18th of November. So 7 days from now, you're going to see in the classroom, we're going to come and be doing your quiz next week. So it's very important you are actually attending your classes. I want to show you something that is important. There's obviously the project management body of knowledge, which is basically group project description, that we'll go through that very, very shortly. And there are a number of constraints relating to this project that you need to go and really bear in mind. These are 3 very important things because, first of all, to be able to go and deliver a project, it needs to be delivered within time, 6 months, within cost, that's a budget, and within specifications, that is the actual scope of the project. So your project that you are going to be doing for us requires you to be meeting those particular specifications that are actually highlighted here. There is obviously another component that you need to go and bear in mind, that any project to be successful needs to be meeting the client requirements. So that's one other dimension you'll be looking at to make sure that the work is meeting the outcomes we're trying to go and really do. I'm going to come back to this PIM book group project description in a minute, but I'm going to go first to show you other stuff. We have obviously a group assignment that is due very soon. That is your first assignment. If you go up here, you see the PIN book assignment. It's due in week 6, but not all of it is due in week 6. You know, you need to bear in mind that this task, the way it's submitted through various versions. So you have the first part, you make me the project charter. So I explained to you the project charter today, and the project charter will be due next week on a Sunday. Usually that's when it's due. The 21st, let me double check the date for you. Yep, it is due on a Sunday next week. And then you go and see that there's the second task of it. We'll come and talk to you next week about the stakeholder. We'll explain it to you, and then you'll see that it is due week after. And then you have more things to be delivered the week after, which is the risk register, the work breakdown structure, and so on. And then finally, you have the final project. Now, this is where you submit the whole work, including all of these things that you've done earlier. Now, why are you submitting these things in stages? Because we want to take the opportunity to look at the work that you've done and to be able to go and give you feedback to help you to go and improve your work. So we want you to go and be following with us, coming in a regular basis. We explained to you, for example, today about the charter, and you know that the charter is basically due next week for submission. Then next week, we explain to you about scope and stakeholder. And then you notice that the week after, you actually have a scope and stakeholder that is going to be due. So we always give you about a week and a bit where you need to go and actually apply what we have actually taught you. So you need to be coming, listening to be able to go and apply things. Now you see there's tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, and tab 4. Why are there 4 tabs? Because when you go to the assignment, you need to submit your task on the relevant tab. So when I go here, I can see, all right, what do I need to submit now? Oh, project charter, that's tab 1. You know, scope and stakeholder, that's tab 2. Risk and WBS and budget, that's tab 3. Final report, that's tab 4. Now, who is able to go and be submitting the work here? Only one person could submit the work here. Only one person. You need to choose a group leader from the beginning, and the group leader will be submitting the work, because we want to avoid any sort of similarity where we say, oh, is there academic misconduct happening here? So we want to avoid any sort of problem like that at all expenses. You then have other stuff. For example, you go and see the Agile assignment. Again, there's a description, there's a section for Agile, and the same thing you see that there are different tabs, tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. Okay, so we always give you the guidance. Now, we don't expect you to be doing full work. We expect you to have showed us that you've done a very good attempt to produce a good enough outcome. And when we look at the work you've done, if you've basically made a good attempt, we'll give you full mark. You know, you'll take the full, you know, the 5 marks out of 5. We're happy to give you those marks for the PIN book assignment. And then you can actually get a very, very good mark for your work. But you need to be basically doing your work on a regular basis. You notice for the PIN book assignment, there are some constraints that are showing here. But if you go and look for the Agile assignment, you see the constraints are actually different. So the project needs to be delivered here differently within 3 months instead of 6 months. You have a budget of 1 million instead of 1.5 million. But again, you can see various due dates that are basically relevant for your work. So you need to bear all of this in mind. On a regular basis, you can access your textbook that are available here if you want to read any content that you believe you did not understand. Even when we go and cover it, you can read the textbooks. This is about the Project Management Body of Knowledge textbook, which is your first assignment. And this is about your Agile textbook, which is the second group assignment. You can obviously access the library also. There are links available for you to do that. And finally, there's some recordings that are available. There's, various videos that we play. What is a project management body of knowledge? What's the difference between Agile project management and traditional project management? There's a lot of things we'll be covering on a weekly basis. So it is really important that you basically following up with all of that information and making sure you understand the information that is being presented there. Week 2, obviously, we're going to go and have, which is today. They covered more information. There's things like WordPress, which relates to your first group assignment and potentially the second one also. There's things about the project charter we're going to talk about, and there's obviously the tutorial that we are working through today. But to go back for a second, we want to go back to the top where there's a subject outline. I want to go and start discussing those assignments that we mentioned earlier. So what about those assignments? Well, let's have a look. Mr. Dave is your subject coordinator. I'm Dr. Fadi. I'm your lecturer of, if you want the tutorial, teaching stuff for you here in this class. And you see a number of topics we're covering every week, schedule 1, Schwalbe, 1, 2, 3. So every week we'll do something. But now this is the first week where we're doing a tutorial. And next week we have an assignment that is due. That's your first quiz. So we're going to have to go and come and answer the quiz next week. Then we're going to go and have the second assignment due here in week 6, worth 25%, but you're going to be progressively submitting it across various weeks. Then we're going to go and have here week 11, the remaining assignments and the quiz that needs to go and be submitted. We go all the way down and we start looking at your assignments or the quizzes if you want. We obviously highlight that, the assignments here. So 5%, 25%, 15%, 5%, and your final exam is worth 50%. And we go and look at the textbook here. These are the textbooks that we are really using at that particular point of time. Now, if I go down, if you want to go and be doing any research about project management, we always recommend databases. These are some example databases you might refer to, but you can actually obviously go and refer to further items and further journals that are available through the database that we have here at KOI. So if we go and look here, assignment 1, it's a multiple choice. It is due in week 3. Now, there are 10 multiple choice questions, which you need to go and answer. It's about readings from week 1. So anything about the fundamental of project management. Every question is worth half a marks. You have 20 minutes for that quiz. And you basically, I've seen people get 5 over 5. I've actually seen many people get 5 over 5. Usually, if students studied for that quiz and attended the class, they could get potentially 4 over 5 plus on that particular quiz. Yeah, usually people do better in quiz 1 than quiz 2. They both do well, but usually the average is over 3.5 for the second one and usually over 4 for the first one. So there's a very good opportunity for you to get a good mark on those quizzes. Your assignment 2 is that project management body of knowledge assignment. It is due in week 6, but what you need to do, you need to know that this is not an individual task. This is a group task. The group must submit an electronic copy on Moodle. So you need to choose a group leader, and the group leader needs to go and be submitting that work appropriately via Moodle. You need to do a lot of outputs in this particular exercise. They're giving you a background, so it's very important you read the background. In summary, there is an Australian-based IT managed service company, and that company basically goes and create websites for customers with content management system. They tend to specialize with using systems like Drupal and WordPress to create websites for their clients. They are currently working in various industries, and most recently, they have been awarded a contract by Aldi to develop a website. So Aldi wanted to go and develop their own website to the client. It is a local-based operation in Australia. We know, you probably know what Aldi is. A lot of people go and buy their grocery from Aldi. Aldi, they have the sales websites. They have a website. Their website that we need to create is simply facilitating transportation. We want to transport things, and the sales happen on one end, and we want to be able to go and transport the items and get them to go and be delivered to where we want it to be go and actually be delivered. So the objective is we're going to appoint you as the team who is going to be implementing the website for us. We're telling you we need the website to be reusable later by other customers, you know, for Aldi to keep track of their deliveries. And we tell you that that website needs to have a number of modules. It needs to have an area for customers' details, an area for products being delivered. What are we delivering? Courier's provider, insurance details for the courier, link to existing Aldi website needs to be available to transfer the picking slip, delivery cost details, GNL, I don't know what he means by graphical user interface, maybe. I think he's just reading graphical user interface for that particular website. And reports, transport costs by courier, suburb, and region. So all of this basically needs to go and be available as part of your module. So you need to think about all of these components as part of the work you're trying to go and really be providing. Now, the further things, there's outcomes. So you need to select the content management system and development tools. Aldi suggested you use WordPress for the content management system. There are some requirements. You know, we need to have the system fully available on a robust infrastructure in the cloud. So we know that cloud computing needs to be used here. You need to have specific production environment that Aldi will provide. So that needs to be live for people to be able to go and use it. Set up resources, development and testing environment, because you need to test the system before you're going to go and really release it to be used. We need to have advanced security, and you need to produce a number of project management documentation, such as a project charter, which is due next week for you guys. I'm explaining that today. Scope and stakeholder register, which is due the week after next week, which we'll be explaining next week. Risk register, work breakdown structure, schedule, budget, group contribution, overall plan. All of these things are things we need you to be able to go and really be covering into a lot of details. So this is in summary that assignment, and then we come up and we continue to assignment 3, which is basically the same case study that you do for assignment 2. The only difference is, instead of delivering that project using the project management body of knowledge approach to project management, you need to be using the agile approach to project management, which we'll be teaching you. We'll teach you about Scrum, we'll teach you about Kanban, we'll teach you about Slack, we'll teach you about all of these things you need to go and be using to be able to go and get the job completed the way you need to be completed. Now, the requirements, obviously, in terms of scope and, you know, how long we have available, the budget, all of these things are basically adjusted from assignment 1, and your planning needs to be done accordingly to be able to go and get the right outcomes. Now, in week 11, we also have another quiz that is due, and you can see that that quiz is in week 11. We will basically test your understanding of the agile project management concepts. And if you, which we'll be discussing throughout the course, probably, I'm not sure the week, but we'll be discussing towards the halfway of the course roughly. And finally, we'll have the final exam, which is 2 hours duration plus 10 minutes. And, you know, I think it could be either on campus or online. We don't have the confirmation yet about how it's going to be, but I guess we'll wait a bit later and we'll see what will happen. We're going to remind everybody that your assignment must be submitted on time, and if they are not submitted on time, there is a 5% penalty for each day of late submission, and that is not our rule. That is a KOI rule that is basically listed here, 5% penalty. If for any reason there are you know, circumstances that prevented you from being able to go and submitting your work, we do suggest that you go and make a special consideration application, make it early, and let us know what you're going through, because we want to go and help you, but also we need to go and maintain the integrity of our subject and of our teaching. Other stuff, just general stuff, how do you apply for extension, a form that is available, referencing, plagiarism, reasonable adjustment, appeal processes, all of these other information that could be relevant to all of you at any point of time. Now, I'm going to stop for a second to see whether any of you have any questions at all, guys, and I'll be very happy to answer them. Anyone have any questions at this stage?
Sure.
No questions?
Oh, just one question. When are we gonna form the group?
When are you going to form the group? Is that your question?
Yeah, yes, sir.
You're going to form the groups today. I'm going to allow you to form the groups really almost immediately because I always try to help my students form their groups early because this means they know who they're going to be working with very, very quickly. So I'm going to be forming the groups today and I'll give you the chance to choose your groups. And we have a particular activity related to that today, and I'll get to that in a minute. Any other questions? Okay, no problem at all. So we go back to the course, and I want to remind you that if you go here to the project management body of knowledge, you'll see a project description, a Word document, and that Word document, I'm going to just open it now for you. You notice that that Word document, guys, is basically giving you the details that was available earlier in the actual assignment. So it's basically giving you all of that same information about your assignment. So it is really the same information that is basically available inside of your subject outline. It's giving you all of these information about when things need to be submitted and so on. Now, let's go back to the lecture slides. All right, guys, so we went through already, I went through the subject outline. I explained to you the 5 assessments that are available in this course, 2 quizzes, 2 group assignments, and a final exam. And you need to actually come to your tutorial next week. You need to be in your class. You need to be sitting the actual quiz to be able to go and ensure you're going to go and get the up to 5 marks that are available. So pay attention and let's try to get all of these marks that are available for you guys. Now, I was asked a question earlier about, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to go and form the groups? When are we going to go and form the groups? Now, I wanted to go and make a bit of a difference this semester. And I will leave it to other tutors to decide how they're going to do this. But what I want from you guys is I would like you to go and type in the chat box just your suburb, where you live. And the reason why is I would like to go and try to create a way where you guys know where other people are living, because then you might be able to choose people who live close to you to be able to go and do the group assignment with, because you might need to meet face to face. That will make it easier. So may I please ask you now to just type in the chat box your suburb, just it, your suburb, that's it, nothing else. One word, your suburb. I can see 2 people type their suburb, 4 people, perfect. I have around 23 people, so I expect to see around 23 people typing their suburb here. All right, excellent. So I have 12 people. I'm just waiting for the rest. 11 more people need to be typing where their suburb, where do they live? All right, and I have 15. There's still at least 16 people. I have still 7 more people need to type the suburb where they live. Just type your suburb. Thank you. So 17, 18. I still have 5 more people. Please type your suburb where you live. Just in the chat box, just type your suburb. 5 people haven't typed their suburb yet.
So we are 3 friends, but like we just want to make a group.
That's not a problem. If you are 3 friends, you want to make a group, that's not a problem at all. I'm going to tell you guys how to kind of do it in a minute. But I just want to make sure that if any of the other guys haven't typed their details yet, just so that they can type their details, just say suburb where they are. Okay, what I'm going to do now is usually you need to be providing your student number, your name, your email, your mobile phone number, and you need to indicate who is your group leader. Okay, now why is that important, information important? Because we need to go and be maintaining communication with everybody. If there's anything wrong, we need to be able to go and know who to speak to. Who is the leader we need to go and be discussing things with at any particular point of time. The groups that you're going to be forming now will be the groups you're going to be working with for both group assignments. So it's very important you choose the right people, not simply because they're friends, people who you know will work hard, or people might have any particular skills that might be very, very helpful. So what I did this semester for my group in my tutorial is I created a Google Sheet now. That Google Sheet have groups 1 all the way to 10. Now, I need you to try to identify people you would like to go and work with. Like, you can chat with people who basically put their suburb, you can contact them directly, and you can now agree on which group you are going to go and be working with. Once you agree, I need you to put on the sheet that I'm going to send you the link for now, I need you to put simply the name of the group leader on top, and then the mobile phone number, and then the name and number of the other people. I don't want, like, for me personally, I don't need all of these other details. I can access them manually, but I would like this 2 details as a minimum, because the mobile phones will help the group leader to create a WhatsApp group so that we can start the communication. And the group leader, at least we know who is the group leader, so that they're going to go and be doing all of their submissions on time. If anybody just joined me now and they haven't included their suburb details, they can include their suburb details now on the chat box. Now, I'm going to now share in the chat box with you a link. You can click on that link and you can write the name of the person and the phone number of that person in a particular group. I'm going to give you around 10 minutes to basically choose your group members and to put all of those details on a sheet. And once we do that, that basically become your group you're going to be working with for your assignment. There's a minimum allowed 3 people and maximum allowed 4 people per group. So we need to stick to that requirements. And what I'm going to go and say is you can only log in using that link I'm going to give you now. You can only log into it by using your KOI email address. If you use a non-KOI email address, it won't allow you to go and access that link. So please access it using the right email address. I will put the link now for you in the chat box, and you can start adding your details. Thank you very much, guys. All right, guys, thank you very much for all the work you guys have done to be able to go and set up your groups and adding all of your details in the system. You're going to be working with those group members to be able to go and do your group assignment, both the first one and the second one. And obviously, there's a lot now I need to go and actually be talking about that is further. But simply speaking, you know, if you are in other tutorials, you need to go and be providing the group name, the student ID, the student name, the COI email, and the contact phone number. And as you can see, the requirements from the coordinator, there's 4 people maximum that we usually assign to a group. So we can't usually assign more than 4 people to a group at any particular point of time. Now, there's obviously a quiz that I want to also talk about now. So ladies and gentlemen, in terms of your quiz, please make sure you are coming here next week. You are going to be asked 10 questions. It's basically true or false questions. They're either right or they're basically wrong. You're going to have a number of multiple choices to be able to go and choose from. It will take 20 minutes, but that's the time we give you. But in reality, you don't need all of this time to be able to go and really go and get that quiz completed. So many people finish it in like 10 minutes. And you know, if you know your stuff, you'll be able to go and get your answers correctly. And as I said, I've seen many of my students previously get 5 over 5 on that quiz. And I want you to get 5 over 5, because that actually, when I get towards the end of the semester, I can see you as my students or other students in other group being able to go and potentially reach a high distinctions. The only time where students you know, find it very difficult to reach such accomplishment is where they either did not do their progress task or for the assignment that they have to do on a regular basis, or they find themselves unable to go and do the quizzes, or they haven't even studied for all of those quizzes. So we need to sort those issues, because by sorting them, you give yourself the best chance to get a great outcome on your quizzes. So as I said, assignment 2, we need to go and have a number of things. It's basically step-by-step tasks in terms of your assignment. And I've already spoke about it earlier, so I'm not going to go through it again now. But simply speaking, you need to go and get a project charter to go and be delivered. It's a working document. So you can see working document, working document, working document, which means they need to be a good enough attempt of the work to show us that you've worked hard to try to do a good quality outcome, so that we can comment on it, give you some feedback, and help you to be able to go and improve and get a better outcome. But you need to go and bear in mind that you must do good work, and you need to be submitting the work on a weekly basis. If you don't submit the work, you immediately lose a mark. You don't submit this work, you lose 2 marks. You don't submit this work, you lose 2 marks. That means the maximum you can get on your assignment is 20 over 25. That is not what we want. You must be submitting your work on a regular basis to ensure we are able to help you to achieve the best possible marks. So please make sure you spend the time and you start gathering the learning we're going to tell you, and you start working on your tasks as soon as possible. Now, there are a number of knowledge areas we're going to go and talk about, and we will be covering those now. What are the 2 knowledge areas covered in the initiation process? Well, we're going to talk about this first one, which is a project charter. The project charter is really the first assignment. You need to create for me the project charter. The second one is your stakeholder register, which you're going to need to go and do by doing after we come and discuss it in the class next week. But the first one now is the project charter. If I go to the project charter, we're going to go through the key steps of the project charter, what is usually in it. Now, I'm going to show you a structure that is on Moodle, but then I'm going to also recommend another structure that I found it to be very good and very valuable. So let me basically go to Moodle to show you that information now. Let's go to here. All right, let's go. So going to Moodle, you will see under week 2, you will see a few things such as create a project charter. I'm going to just very quickly try to go through that file now. It won't take very long, but I'll go through it very quickly to introduce that topic for you now.
I hope it plays straight away, because usually sometimes it gives me pain.
Develop Project Charter is an initiating process. A project charter is essentially a document that authorizes a project. Once a project has received a charter, it means that the project manager can start employing the organization's resources for the project activities. Let us look at the key inputs to be considered in preparing the project charter. The first input is the project statement of work. This is created by project sponsor, or the customer describing their needs, project scope, and how the project fits into their strategic goal. If the project is taken up under a contract, the request for proposal, that is, RFP, can be considered as project statement of work. The next input is the business case. This document establishes whether the investment in a project is worth, from a business point of view, the business need for the project and the cost-benefit analysis. It provides important information to the project manager about the goals of the project and the boundaries in terms of the desired results, cost, etc. If the project is being undertaken as part of a contract or agreement, the agreement provides an important input for the project manager that establishes what must be done in the project. The next input to be considered for project charter is enterprise environmental factors. Any project to be executed within the organization has to deal with the organization culture and existing systems. You can consider this as an organization baggage that comes with the project. This is the reason a project being executed in two different organizations may be done differently. Another factor to be considered is organizational process assets. This is a broad term and includes all the organizational processes, procedures and policies, corporate knowledge base, and historical project information. Every organization develops a set of processes, procedures, and policies that are based on the best practices learned by the organization over time. The historical information includes past project management plans, risks, lessons learned, etc., of similar projects executed. Now, let us look at the tools and techniques used in this process. The first technique is expert judgment. Expert judgment is an invaluable input to the process of formally authorizing a project, because an expert can provide insights into why a project makes business sense or why it does not. From experience, they may be able to shed light about the validity of the business drivers, feasibility, assumptions, and constraints that need to be considered for the project. Facilitation techniques is another technique used. The chartering process is often a collaborative activity involving many influential stakeholders in an organization. Facilitation techniques help bring all these stakeholders together and engage in fruitful discussions in order to arrive at an informed decision whether to go ahead with a project or not. The only output of this project is the project charter. Let us try to understand what the project charter might contain. The project charter usually contains the high-level project requirement, and it should be created by the project sponsor and handed over to the project manager. The project manager can do the groundwork to prepare the project charter, but it must be signed by the project sponsor or somebody in the performing organization who is higher in authority than the project manager. It is important to point out that a project charter is not a project management plan. The detailed risk, schedule, cost analysis, etc., is part of the project management plan and should be done during the project planning phase, when there is more detail on the availability of the project to do so. The charter should be sufficiently high level to accommodate the minor changes that might arise in the project. In the next screen, let us discuss the second process under project integration management, develop project management plan.
Okay, guys, so basically I showed you that very quick video that talks and introduces what is a project charter. There's obviously a document here that is available on Moodle that basically could give you a bit of guidance about, what do we have in the project charter. This is just one sort of recommendation that is available there, the project charter, company details, project name, and so on. A request description. What are the goals and objectives? What are the benefits? Because we need to make sure that the project is going to go and achieve potential benefits. What is in scope and what is out of scope, which sometimes I personally don't like to include them in the charter because you are going to be creating a scope document, and the scope document usually will have some of that information anyway. So sometimes I find that to be a bit of a repetition personally. Stakeholder affected and type. Constraints, dependencies, and so on. What are the deliverables? Work may result in the creation of new deliverables or the amendments of existing items. So you kind of mention what are those deliverables, describe them, who is responsible for delivering each deliverable, who is responsible for reviewing the work and make sure they are happy with it, and who is responsible to go and sign off to say that the work has actually been completed. Project management approach, description listing, most important aspect, the approach we're trying to use to be able to go and get that project to be implemented. What are the resources we're going to have? What are the costs? And this is usually high level because early on in a project, you just don't know the detailed information. You haven't done a plan, you haven't created a budget, and everything you do in this instance will be more talking about the high level information we need to go and do. Summary. Schedule summary. So what are the main achievables we are going to be delivering? A milestone will signify that a very important achievement has been delivered. And finally, there's a date relating to those particular achievables. Finally, you talk about the review and authorization. Quality manager, here review and authorize it. Project manager, client representative, they basically go and agree and sign on the work that is going to go and be delivered. So that's one format that is available on Moodle that you guys might want to go and actually you might go and think about. But there's another one that I usually like personally, which is really more, if you want more links, linking to, where's that document? Let me have a look. To the JWD case. So this JWD case is a very important resource that will facilitate for you the information about the work you should be potentially using. So if I go and check the JWD case, you'll find a lot of documents that are relating to the work you're going to be producing for this assignment. So for instance, you're going to find things like the business case to show whether we should do the project or not. You go down, you see things such as an initiation stage. That's the stakeholders that we spoke about. This is some example of the stakeholder register that you need to be doing for next week, and we'll talk about further next week. This is an example of the project charter. This is a sample, title, business, project manager. Like this is a sort of format that is also available in the JWD case. But I have kind of combined the different structures together, and I recommend for people in my class, especially if I'm teaching you, I recommend you follow this structure. I recommend you take a picture of it now because I try to kind of design a structure that is not going to go and have a lot of repetition between the charter and the scope statement. So this will be a good one. So I recommend you maybe if you're in my class in multi-tutorial and I'm marking your assignment, just take a picture of that now. I'll just wait for a second. And then you probably want to follow that approach in your assignment when you create my project charter that you are going to be submitting next week. So I'll wait for a minute to give you the chance to take the picture. Okay. Moving on. So that is in terms of the first step, which is creating the project charter that we would like you to go and really complete. The next step is what we are going to be doing and talking about next week. We will be creating a stakeholder register, but that's something for us to be able to go and be discussing further next week. What's the format? What's the videos that we go and create in relation to the stakeholder register? What sort of information you should include in the stakeholder register? Is every stakeholder going to be managed in the same manner? Are all really equally important? Who is going to be managing the communication with those stakeholders? How are we going to communicate with those stakeholders? Email, non-email, they need to be very good clarity in terms of how we are going to go and really be delivering our work, but we'll talk further about that in next week's tutorial. Now, there are a number of questions here we would like to go and ask you. I'm going to start by asking you, and please, guys, I really welcome answers by everybody. And I really would like to go and hear you contributing to my classes because they make the classes much more enjoyable than simply being someone really reading a slide for you. So let me ask you the first question. Who is a project stakeholder? Can you give me an example of a project stakeholder?
A client or
okay,
developer, everyone's
Project
involved.
Yeah, so everyone who is involved. So you mentioned the client is a stakeholder. That's 100%. Why are they a stakeholder? Because they have a stake, because they would like you to go and deliver a particular outcome for them. So they have a stake in that project. Who else?
Organization.
Anyone that has outcome, like has interest in the outcome.
Anyone that has an interest. Yeah, that's correct, Juliana. Anyone who has an interest, and Dairam, you said the organization, correct? And there are various people. So, for example, is the project team stakeholders?
Yes.
They are. They have a stake in the project. They want to ensure things are happening. The project team, the business analyst is a stakeholder. The the sponsor is a stakeholder. The client is a stakeholder. If I'm doing a COVID-19 application, who is my stakeholder?
All the patients and all the population.
Could be all the patient, could be all the population. What about who else?
Doctors.
Doctors, who else?
Government?
Government, 100%. Okay, so there's basically
Whole
all of this,
population.
all
Investors.
population. Investors, yeah, look, whoever's paying you money to be able to go and do it, they would like to get it done. If they want to make money out of it, 100%, they are all stakeholders. So it's an individual, group, or an organization who may affect or be affected by a decision, activity, or an outcome of a project. What is the responsibility of a project stakeholder? Do project stakeholders all have the same role and responsibility?
I'd say
That's-
no. Depends on
Exactly.
which part of the stakeholder you are in.
Diogo,
let's
that's
say-
correct.
yeah.
So if you are a project manager, what's your responsibility?
To manage the project,
Okay, and if you are a developer, what's your responsibility?
to create the code,
And if you are a sponsor, what's your responsibility?
to provide sponsorship to the
Yeah,
to the
tell me
company.
what you want and give me the support and help me to go and get the
Yep.
job done. So the responsibility will change depending on what role are you actually playing as a stakeholder at any particular point of time. So stakeholders are those who have interest in your project outcome. And I want you to know that the responsibility of the stakeholder is really very highly dependent on what they're trying to go and really do. What is a project charter? I've played a video, it gave you some information. What's a charter?
It's basically a
Overview created by
definition.
the sponsor.
So let's start
Is it-
one at a time. Juliana, go on.
Yeah, it's a definition of basically introduction of the whole project. Like what's the goals, what's the requirements, what's the risk. So basically, anyone can look at the project charter, and then we have an idea about the whole project.
Okay, have an idea about what we're trying to go and do. That is correct. Thank you very much. And who else was adding their comments?
So project charter can be a overview of the project made by the project sponsor, and then
Yeah.
hand it over to the project management so he can add up more details to the project.
Absolutely. So we're basically starting with really like a high level understanding of what are they wanting me to do. And by using that high level information, what can I do? I'll be able to go and start drilling into details. And that's why it's called in the introduction stage. Like we haven't even getting, it's the first stage, initiation. Okay. What we're doing from there, we're trying to go and understand and getting a bit further details to get the job done. What information is available in the charter, guys? Anyone could think about information we might have in the charter?
Our project goals.
Yeah, goals maybe, yeah.
Involve stakeholders.
The budget,
Stakeholders,
Budget.
Budget.
Deadline, risk.
deadlines, okay, yeah, high level. So all of these would be potentially in a high level, but objectives, timeline, tasks, who are the stakeholders are some of the main ones basically we could think about. But we can go one step further and go back to what I told you already, which is a structure that I really recommend you go and follow. The project title, date of authorization, start dates and end date, the problem statement, what's an issue we're trying to actually solve, what is the problem? Why should we do it? That's our business case to show me that it is worth it for me to go and get the job done. What is the objective? What are the main success criteria? How do we know that the project was successful? The key milestones, the budget information, our approach to go and really solve the problem, any agreements we might have with the stakeholder, with the government, with whoever, who is the project manager, who are the stakeholders, what are the various roles and responsibility? Do I have a developer, tester, business analyst, and so on? And any other comments that we might actually have that are associated with that project charter. But Obviously, a lot of information gets inserted. It's basically really to start a project. Organization don't have plenty of money. Organization needs to be certain that if we're going to go and spend our money on something, we are going to be spending the money on something that is really going to go and be adding value. There is no point spending money on something that will not really deliver value for us as an organization. My friends, I'm going to ask you now if everyone is clear, and all what I want from you is just give me the thumbs up if you have no questions. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's excellent. Thank you very much for all the thumbs ups. I really appreciate it. Now, we're going to go and start talking about other topics. You know, what is project management? What is Pinbook? What is agile project management methodology? What is a waterfall approach, and difference between agile and Pinbook? Now, what is project management? If I say the word project management, what do you understand?
Managing a project.
Managing the project. Okay, give me more details. Maybe let's start one step earlier. What is a project?
Task that should be completed in a
Tasks or certain tasks which have a deadline, start date and end date.
It's not simply a certain task. It is a unique outcome that we're trying to achieve. Something has to be unique to my organization. It's not something that I go all the time. It's not like a printing a transaction on a register. You know, maybe creating a whole inventory system is a project, but managing the day-to-day operation of that inventory system is not a project. It just becomes operation. So a project management is about really managing a project. That's correct. But what is it? It's more than that. It's about really managing a goal, managing an outcome, managing something that is unique. It's about delivering things when? When do we deliver the things? Within what?
The deadline.
Within the deadlines. Okay, what else? Within what?
Let's say
Within what?
to manage the team, to assign tasks.
Correct, but there are main criteria for success that I showed you earlier on the Moodle side. Something needs to be done within time.
Budget.
Within time is the first one. What's the second one?
Within budget.
Within cost, correct, budget. What's the third one? Within
Quality.
the specifications, exactly, the specifications or the demand that we're actually talking about that we mentioned earlier. There's even another dimension. Your success of the project will need to be basically judged by the client. So we need to go and ensure the client have accepted the work we've done and decided, you know what, I actually like what you gave me. That was pretty good. I would like to go and have more work like that in the future. So we need to go and get something done appropriately. If I was to go and talk about project management, I talk about much, much more further than this. I say it's about me applying all my knowledge, all my skills, all of these tools, all of these techniques, which together enable me to be able to go and meet all of my project requirements. And when I talk about project management, I talk about what is known as knowledge areas. And there are 10 knowledge areas. Scope management. We need to manage the scope. There's a process, there's a way we manage a scope. Schedule management. There's a way we manage a schedule. Cost. How do we manage our costing? Quality, resources management, communication management, risk management, procurement and stakeholder management. And finally, integration management. We have to integrate all of these various knowledge areas into an approach where we can together use them to be able to go and reach a right outcome. We have stakeholders. They come to me with a need. They tell me, I want to go and have something. And based on that, I use my knowledge areas. I use my tools and techniques, such as Microsoft Project that they are showing you in here. And I'll be able to go and achieve the success of my project. Now, this project is only one of so many projects we are delivering as an organization. That is what we call a portfolio of work we're trying to go and do. But it is the portfolio that we basically need to go and really work on. We need to work on so many projects as an organization for us to be able to go and really become successful in delivering what we want to go and actually deliver. Now, second question, what is PMBOK?
It's a framework
What does it
for
stand
project
for?
management.
What does it stand for? The words PMBOK, what does it stand for?
Project management professional, or no, not really.
Close,
Not really,
project
no.
management,
Body.
body
knowledge, yeah.
body of
Yeah.
knowledge.
Mhm.
Amazing. That's very good. And that's really correct, like a framework which tells us how do we actually go and really deliver a project in an organization. It's
Sorry, I have a
basically,
question.
tell
Yeah.
me.
So because I was reading, so PMBOK, they use the 5 process groups, yeah, which
Correct.
are
Initiation, planning, and so
yeah,
on.
yeah. So this is the process group of PMBOK only, or these process are for the project management
Okay,
itself?
it's a very, very
I'm-
good question. And the answer for that is there is a different sort of, okay, the stages are very similar, but there might be some variation. For example, you might go to SDLC and they tell you we're going to use some very specific titles of our stages. Now, if you go and try to compare those titles and compare them to the 5, processes, you're going to find they're very similar. Okay, but the titles of them are different. Okay, but then if you think about the project management body of knowledge, and if you think about agile uses totally different titles. Okay, so the titles might be different, but when you analyze those titles, you find that the information, there are similarities.
The same, yeah.
Exactly. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
No worries. So in 1996, the first edition of the PMBOK guide was published. It's basically talk about the knowledge areas, processes, and practices. I've just mentioned the process areas. There are many, many processes that we'll learn about and practices. But there are so many, it's basically recognizing all of these best practices that are available out there to be able to go and really get projects to go and be delivered in real life. I made an amendment to your lecture slides. You might open the slides. It might, I think, says 4th edition. Actually now 7th edition available. It sold millions of copies, and it's basically like really a Bible for project management for people who would like to go and use and apply the traditional project management approach, a project management body of knowledge approach to project management. Now, Juliana, I'm going to show you very shortly how the knowledge areas and how the process groups really links together, because that's a very valid point, and I'll show you that very, very soon.
Thank you.
Now you can look here, you see all of these knowledge areas?
Yes.
And you see those process groups?
Yes.
Okay, these process groups telling you in initiation stage, what do? We have project integration management, which involve creating a project charter. We also have a project stakeholder management, which involve identifying our stakeholders. In planning, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You see, there are so many. Every single knowledge area has a task that is related to the planning stage.
To the planning, yeah.
In closing, only the integration have a task that is related to closing. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Cool.
Now, what I want you to know is sometimes in the final exam, we might ask you, which knowledge area is related to, what are the tasks that are related to the initiation knowledge areas? Okay, so we might basically want you to go and relate initiation to the knowledge area, and you tell me, in initiation, we do a project charter, which is in integration management, and we do identify stakeholder, which is a stakeholder management. So we expect you to start really knowing the things that are related to various stages.
The tasks to the
exactly, and link them together.
Cool. Thank you.
Make sense, guys? Any questions at all? Alrighty, guys. Now, what is agile project management? What's the word agile? What does agile mean?
Faster.
Faster. Okay, yeah, agile.
Agile means
I'm an
flexible.
agile. What's that?
Flexible.
Flexible. I'm agile. Yeah, I want to kind of get flexible. That's correct. I'm agile. What else? Anybody knows what agile project management is?
It's an iterative project management approach.
Okay, it's an iterative project management approach. Okay, so how is that different to the project management approach, PMBOK approach?
PMBOK plans at first and like go step by step, but in Agile you do the things like keep planning and again do the things and keep planning.
Okay, you are right on track. I'll discuss that a bit further. Ladies and gentlemen, I love agile project management because I can see how valuable it is and how well it is being used, especially in so many fields of project management today. The difference between traditional project management and agile project management. In project management, a project might take 2 years to go and be completed. In a traditional approach of project management, the way we do that project that takes 2 years is we go and we plan it at the beginning of those 2 years. And after we finish the planning, we start going to, the stages, let's say to, plan, let's say to go and analyze, let's go and design, let's go and start develop, let's go and start test, let's go and start like one step at a time to be able to go and get that system to go and be delivered. And that whole process might start from the initiation all the way to the end might take a couple of years. Now that's typically not a problem, but it could create a problem in the information technology field. And the reason why it could go and create a problem, because technology, as we basically have it today, keeps on changing very quickly. In a blockchain, Internet of Things, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all of these things keep on happening and coming all the way and creating new things in the world. Which means I might be working on a project here in year 1 or year 0, and I continue working on it for 2 years. And in 2 years, by the time I finish year 2, I might have delivered something that is no longer adding value in the actual business because I am now delivering something that is old, that is no longer valuable in the market. But Agile works a bit differently. Agile says, let's go and be flexible. Let's go and adjust requirements according to how things are changing in the market. So they might go and say, all right, these are all the requirements we would like to go and do at the beginning in year 0. And they basically prioritize them. But they start working every 4 weeks to be implementing something. Once they implement that something, while it's being developed, there might have been new requirements coming from someone outside. Those requirements gets added to the requirements, or those demands get added to the initial requirements we have, and they start being prioritized. If a new requirement comes in and we find it to be a higher priority, instead of doing all of these projects that was not adding value or will no longer add value, we'll simply work on the features that are going to go and be adding value. So we constantly evolve our work to be able to go and ensure we are delivering what the client really wants us to go and deliver and what is going to be adding a lot of value to our customers. So if you think like, waterfall, traditional project management, we Juliana, just commenting on your question earlier, you see here what they named them?
Yes.
Discover, design, develop, test.
But
Okay?
it's basically
So
the same thing, yeah, but just with different names.
It's kind of different heading, different name, but they're kind of doing something that is similar. So you can see here, the way that it works is you are having one discover at the beginning. Once you discover what is the need, I design it. Once I design it, I develop it. Once I don't develop it, I test it, and then I get it to go to be launched. But if you go and see in Agile project management, I work on some things, and then I work on other things, and I work on other things. And usually every 4 weeks, usually up to 6 weeks, but every 4 weeks, usually you are getting a deliverables being delivered. So you're not waiting 2 years to get the outcome. You're basically waiting only 1 month. I get an outcome, then I get another outcome, then I get another outcome. I give my client something that is ready for them to go and actually use. And that's how the waterfall and the Agile approaches are actually different. They don't really do the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
No worries. So you can see here waterfall and sprint. What do you see here? It's basically repeat, 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 repeat. We're repeating the same thing. Waterfall, it's things have to start from top and go all the way to the bottom. The water that flows here, you're probably not going to see it again. You're not going to touch it. Once it goes in the river, it's gone. So once I basically get that water is down, it's finished, it's gone. Once I finish my analysis, it's gone. I have to now do whatever after design. Once I finish my design, it's gone. I have to now do development. Once I do my development, it's gone. I have to now do testing. So things basically happen one after the other in that perspective. So the waterfall is really kind of one by one, analyzing, then designing, then implementing, then testing, then deployment, and then I release, and I have to continuously go and maintain things in the future. So once I start going to regular maintenance, it is no longer considered a project. It is considering simply a way for me to go and maintain my system in the future to get the outputs to go and be done. If I produce a application, that's great, but it needs to go and be available in the future for us to be able to maintain it and improve it and make sure it's gonna go and remain up to date. Now, the question, what is the difference between PMBOK and Agile? Well, the PMBOK guide described the best practices for what should be done to manage project. Agile is more telling you about how. Let's do it in this particular manner. It gives you kind of prescription of a way that will basically work, an approach that will work and add a lot of value. One area in which Agile projects and PMBOK guide disagree is the involvement of stakeholders. PMBOK try to involve them at the beginning and say, we're going to give you what you want and you come and take it at the end. Agile says, let's keep them involved all the time because we want them to be close, we want them to be happy, and we want to make sure we're going to give them exactly what they're after at any particular point of time. The individual sets a direction for the product at the outset of the project and refine the vision at the beginning of each iteration. And people could keep on influencing us if we are using an Agile project management approach. You tell me what you want, and I'll be very happy to go and continue giving you that information that is actually. So ladies and gentlemen, further things in terms of comparing PMBOK and Agile. The PMBOK guide takes a view that the stakeholder influence occurs only at the beginning, and then they start declining. In Agile project, we want you to influence us. We want you to tell us what you want. And we want to make sure that at any point of time, as the stakeholder, we're going to be incrementally giving you what you want and getting your feedback, getting you to review our work and getting to learn from you and learn from ourselves what mistakes we are making so that we do not repeat any of those mistakes. My friends, do you have any questions at all?
I was looking in the Moodle page now. Where exactly I need to submit the project charter because I couldn't see a submission.
Very, very good
button.
question. Thank you very much for asking. I'll just show you that now. And I'll just open the page for you. Once you go there, it's not due, by the way, till Sunday next week. But if you go up there, you'll be able to see a section called PMBOK Project Group Project. If you click on that group project, you'll basically find that there is a place and only the group leader will submit their work, no one else throughout the semester. There's a section called a draft project charter that is listed here. So you actually submit your work at this particular point of time.
Okay, cool. And is due this, not this Sunday, this coming one, but the following.
It's the one after. It's due on the 21st of November. So you have almost 1 week and 3 days.
Yeah, thank you. Good. Thanks.
Any other questions, my friends?
So for the this coming, like not
Hello?
coming, but the following Sunday,
Sir?
Yep.
we have to only do the
I
project
haven't-
charter, right?
I haven't been involved in a group, sir. Not yet.
Sorry, that's all right. Anish will sort it out. Just give me 1 second. Let's just hear the question. Sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. So for the following Sunday,
Yep.
the first only the table 1 we have to submit it, right?
For this Sunday, which is coming up now, there's nothing due.
No, the following Sunday.
There's a project charter, and
Yeah.
you basically put the cover page of the of the actual KOI, and you put your project charter underneath it. So, but that's due not this week, next week.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
No worries. I can see someone else want to have a group. So before you leave, let me check. I want to say, guys, thank you very, very kindly for coming today. I really appreciate all your hard work. and
What
effort.
about the attendance?
I will be marking attendance myself. I run a report after the class, and I'll be doing attendance straight after on the system. So you don't have to worry about that.
My friend Amir Hamza is with me. Actually, his internet issues, so he attended whole class, but he's
So have you already done
not
the
able to join. So can you mark his as well?
I'll run the report, and I'll see who was attending, and I'll be marking the attendance later. If he was in the class, the system will show me that he was in the class. So I'll be running the report a bit later. No, don't worry about that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate all your work. and I
Thank
hope to
you,
see
sir.
next
You
week.
stay.
Thank you.
Have a good
Very
one.
nice.
Have you already
Thank
done the attendance,
See you
sir?
next week.
Thank you, sir.
See you,
Stay
Juliana.
safe. Have a
See
good
ya.
night.
All the best. I'll be marking the attendance after the class, my friends. Okay. I'll do that. I'll run a report after class. Don't have to worry about that. All the best. Thank you.
Bye. See you.